Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a review on the 20-volume Viz series Black Cat, and this is by Kentaro Yabuki. A few of these volumes are out of print at this point. This is an older, kind of early mid-2000s release from Viz, but I managed to find this entire set. Someone in my city was actually selling it, and I do see it on eBay quite a lot for the entire series, so if you are interested in getting it, it shouldn't be too difficult to come by the entire series in one go. But do be forewarned that there are a few of the volumes that are out of print, so just a heads up on that one. But this is an amazing series. I don't read a lot of shonen. I'm not a shonen person. I like shoujo better. I love josei and seinen manga. I love alternative manga. Shonen manga doesn't interest me as much. When I was much younger, when I was a kid, I read a bit of shonen. Like I read Naruto. I watched Naruto. Um, you know, One Piece I read time and again, but or every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm not the biggest shonen fan. So this is coming from someone who doesn't read a lot of shonen. I've sampled a lot of it though, so I know kind of the tropes and I know how things go. But Black Cat is absolutely a series that you should check out. The characters are hysterically funny and well rounded and developed, and the villains are explored. The backstories of everybody are laid out nicely and discovered throughout the series. There's an eclectic kind of cast of characters, all different ages and genders and things like that, and everybody is kind of very unique in their own way, which is nice. The art is awesome. As you can see, the covers are just great. But the action scenes are really great. The character designs, there's Eve there, I think is her name, and then there's some funny kind of character designs as well. But I really love the the action scenes are awesome and easy to follow. That's my biggest thing with shonen, or any kind of action manga, is I sometimes find it very difficult to know what's going on. Because everything gets moving in the panels, and then you're like, well, who's that? Whose attack was that? Who's actually moving? Whose arm is that's hitting that person? Whereas this, I found it very easy to follow the fight scenes. I found it easy to follow the dialogue. I just enjoyed it all the way through. I initially only owned the first 6 volumes. I found them used at Goodwill. I read them in one sitting and loved them and thought I need to get the rest of this series. So I was on the lookout for it. Lo and behold, over a year, I think a year and a half maybe later, found someone selling it, the entire series. So I rebought the volumes I had already owned, and now I'm trying to sell those off. But it was well worth it to me to just get all of it in one go in perfect condition. But yeah, so we've got our main character here, who you can see on this cover, but he's on most of them. His name is Train Hartnett, I believe is his last name. And he is a former assassin who has had a change of heart due to some tragic circumstances, and now he is a bounty hunter. So he's left the assassin life. He doesn't want to kill people anymore, and he's partnered up with his buddy Sven, who is this green-haired fellow here. He partnered up with his buddy Sven, and they are bounty hunters who just try and find criminals and turn them in for money, and that is it. He doesn't want to kill anybody. He's done with that life. He's not interested. But he was a very prolific assassin, and so everybody knows who he is. If they see him, if they see the way he fights, they know immediately that he's the Black Cat. And they're scared of him. They want to capture him. They are just, everybody wants him for some reason. because he was this prolific assassin. The old organization that he used to work for is after him because they don't want him on the loose. He used to work for their organization. He betrayed them and in their eyes by leaving, and now they want to either capture him and re-enlist him in their organization or get rid of him, basically. Uh, so yeah, it's a story of kind of cat and mouse of him and his buddy, and then they meet this younger girl also on this cover here, Eve, I think is her name. Um, and the three of them are kind of just easygoing, ridiculous bounty hunters, while the old organization that he used to work for is chasing them and sending people after them. And there's some other parties at play as well, and everything is just kind of a cluster of uh, people's own personal agendas and the organization's personal agendas, all kind of mixing and matching, and they're all in the same sort of business, and therefore constantly clashing, coming in contact with each other, chasing each other, trying to attack each other. And it just is a lot of fun to see the different organizations, the different people involved in them, all kind of um, meeting randomly, because they come across each other, they argue, they may get into a physical fight, physical altercation, but then someone wins or loses, something happens that the fight ends in some way, and part ways, going about their business, and happen to run into them again in their next job or whatever. And it's very fun to see because, you know, while it is, like I said, a game of cat and mouse, of they're chasing Train, but at the same time they have other objectives, and therefore they're not always at all times chasing him. They just happen to come across him sometimes, and they're like, well, damn it, now we were busy doing this other thing, but now you're here and we are supposed to capture you anyway, so why don't we try it and not succeed again. But it's a lot of fun because even the villains, they're all very unique in their personalities, and you find out about them a bit depending on who it is. Some of them get more of a backstory than others, but it's so much fun to just find out the history of Train, basically, is what this story is about. You're finding out his backstory and how everything has kind of culminated into this moment of this kind of final battle that happens. It wraps up wonderfully. The story is closed at the end. It doesn't feel rushed, or at least it didn't to me. It felt right to end it there. The 20 volumes may seem long to some people, but it really, it felt complete, and it felt like it should have been that long. Every moment, every volume was wonderfully funny and entertaining, and it just made you want to pick up the next one. But I also didn't leave at the end feeling like I wanted more. In terms of, like, I felt like it was too short or they cut it off too soon or whatever. Like, I felt complete at the end of it and happy and content, and that I wanted to start back at the beginning and read it over again, as opposed to like feeling like it was unfinished. I definitely didn't get that impression from this at all. And I appreciate the 20 volumes. I think that's a sweet spot. I don't need an 80 volume series, which is what I find with shonen is my problem, is that they run for too long and they tend to just drag on about things. And with this, I found it so much fun. There's such good humor in this story. The characters have really good relationships with each other that allow them to kind of joke and vibe off of each other. But at the same time, the story itself is quite dark. But the comedic moments are so wonderful that you forget that you're dealing with assassins and bounty hunters and criminals, because it's just so well done that these people aren't, or like Train and his group are not miserable, kind of underbelly of society kind of folks. They're just ridiculously, going about their life, which happens to be as bounty hunters. They're not great at it. They don't have a lot of money. Sven is in charge of the finances, and he gets very upset with Train because he's constantly damaging things while trying to catch criminals, and therefore they have to pay for damages and end up with no money anyway, or in the red because they destroyed more than they made from the the capture of the criminals. So yeah, it's just well done. I really, really like it. I highly recommend reading it. Again, the art is awesome. Um, it's so much fun. Lots of fun uh, fight scenes and everything. And like I said, I'm not the biggest shonen fan. And right from the get go, right from volume one, this series grabbed me and did not let go. So, yeah, if you're in for a fun ride with great characters and a really cool setting and wonderful art, the covers are just awesome. I really, really love them. Then I highly recommend it. And I did mention this in a video before. I don't remember what video it was, but the author of this was my age when he wrote this. He was 22, at least at the beginning of it, I think, or somewhere in the middle. But anyway, and I just find that fascinating because this is a pretty well realized story and group of characters, and art is awesome. And to have this be, I think it was his first main work, last for 20 volumes at such a young age and be, successful and really engaging is really cool. And I just found that to be something that I felt really happy about, that somewhere in here in the author's notes he mentions his 22nd birthday or whatever, like something like that. And uh yeah, I'm happy that such a young person was able to make such a great story. And uh yeah, so anyway, just a tidbit of information there. Yeah, if you get the chance to pick up Black Cat, I highly recommend it. Even if you just try out the first few volumes, if you can get your hands on them, I highly suggest it. I'm sure you're going to get hooked in the same way that I did. Uh, yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. If you've read the series and want to chat about it in the comments, please do so. Love to hear your thoughts as well. Thanks for watching.